Hello everyone, this is Chadi Alraies from SIF 2024, and when we are celebrating the 20th year of SIF, with me is Dr. John Lasala, who is a pioneer in the structural heart space. Dr. Lasala, thanks for being with us.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Yeah. So one thing came up during these live cases as well as during the presentation is utilization of intracardiac echocardiogram for structural procedures.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the background and where it came from.
Well, it's interesting. I kind of fell into it some 20 years ago. We were always having to depend on anesthesia, TE coverage to do our simple PFOs and then more complex ASDs. Mm-hmm. So with the help of my colleagues over at the Children's Hospital, who developed this much sooner than we did, I learned and acquired those skills. They were mostly for the right side of the heart, right? Now we're taking that obviously a step further, and we've gone from just simple 2D to 3 and 4D ICE. So there's some nuances and tricks, some learning curves that have to go through. It sounds simplistic, but one of the hardest things is actually to get it from the right to the left side.
Yes.
Through the small opening in the fossa ovale.
Yeah.
But once you've got that, I think some of the maneuvers are become fairly self-evident.
Right.
And the pictures and quality now have been outstanding.
So one thing is we usually scrub for PFO and ASD closure for the congenital cases. And it's kind of a learning curve is not very cumbersome, but definitely you need to know the views and your baseline and stuff. But for what do you use it now for structural heart? What kind of structural procedure do you think it's efficient?
Yeah, so probably the easiest one to adapt on the left side is going to be left atrial appendage occlusion. And we've made that transition earlier this year. It's simply taking the device and looking for the mitral and then sort of reflecting it back so that you're coaxial with the left atrial appendage. And the beauty of these is the reconstructions that can be done offline. Obviously, I'm not doing this. Somebody who's much more experienced in handling the machine portions of it, recreating it. And we can get all the orthogonal projections just pretty much from one view with 4D ICE. Now, if you're still using a 2D, then you have to do some more maneuvering. You've got to come down towards the pulmonary, or up towards the pulmonary artery, and then also towards the aorta. You're trying to get the equivalent views that you would get on TE. 0, 90, 135, etc. But you're only moving about 45 degrees in each direction to give you an orthogonal view. But the reconstruction part is called, NPR, multiplanar reconstruction. They'll give you the depth, they'll give you the widths, they'll give you the diameters and everything.
All the strict ones you need
pretty
to do,
much
the compression
you need to do.
The procedure.
It's beautiful, and initially we overlapped with TEE. Now we are flying solo. Just
to see if there is any consistency or not. So that's require another septostomy.
Yeah.
Correct?
No, it actually doesn't.
Okay, so yeah.
And that's part of the key. You can do it with a second septostomy. That would make it a lot easier. But what you're doing is, doing your transeptal. You put like a coiled wire, like a VersaFlex wire in there, and you use your dilator and your delivery sheath to go through and puncture it a few times to pre-dilate it.
Okay.
Then pull it back into the right atrium, and then you can line up your ICE probe in an LAO and an RAO projection so that you're coaxial with the wire. Sometimes that doesn't work, as you know. It can look good in one view and it doesn't look good in the other. But if you can get to the wire and sort of torque it so that you're looking up at the wire, and if you see the wire on ultrasound, you track it beautifully.
So you track it by looking at the image, not by the fluoro?
Both, but the image is really the more reliable one.
Well, I understand.
And if that doesn't fail, what I do is I'm fortunate. Again, we have many of our EP colleagues have been using this technology for PVI a long time, that we can get them to come in and they can, where I'd be struggling for 10, 15 minutes, they get it in 2 or 3 minutes.
So it's so you use one single puncture,
yes,
get all your cord medication done.
Right. Okay. And then you can slide everything back in over the same puncture site.
Good. So does that require teaching, learning from the operator, but how about the other staff? Which one should be involved and what's your team consist of?
Well, you do need a dedicated sort of echo sonographer / technical person who's really going to do all the 3D reconstruction. Initially, you rely heavy on the companies that provide these people. They'll fly in and do this. But the best thing for you long term is to take that person who's most astute, who's willing and wants to learn new things, and develop an expertise that would really make them really invaluable. And that's what you're in the process of doing now.
Right. And the final thing is, have you looked into the cost of the procedure compared TE to ICE?
So there's a big cost differential. I don't have those numbers right at my fingertips, but Some people have made the assertion that you're better to stick with the old ice because that's much cheaper.
The 2D.
2D.
Yeah.
And that can be reused. It can be re-sterilized. So it would lower the
Safe.
procedure dramatically and safely. You can use it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
We do that on the right side.
Okay.
Here, you really want to save 3D and 4D for something that's really
Complex.
special, complex. So getting used to it, getting facile because it's obviously a larger catheter. It doesn't quite, maneuver the same way as your 2D catheters. That's important, and it's probably good to do something simple early on, but you may not be dedicated to it after that. But the things you really want to do is the next step. What do you do after left atrial appendage occlusions? There are clearly some people that cannot have a TE probe down for some sort of esophageal pathology that needs a mitral clip. So, we've done a couple of mitral clips, just looking down with 3D ice, 4D ice. And it's kind of neat because aside from the shadowing that you have to get around of the mitral clip or any other tier device system, you're basically looking down at the mitral, and again, the maneuvers in terms of the diameters, lengths, and depths and things are all being adjusted for you off the table.
Right.
So you don't have to really maneuver it very much. It's remarkable once you've got a good image, how much you can do with it without having to manipulate.
So that sounds like a lot of potential for ICE. You're saving patient from getting a sonographer or a cardiologist to do a TE, maybe sedation and anesthesia.
Right, so no general anesthesia.
Moderate sedation, you can do it.
Your echocardiographers in most places are stretched thin. We love them.
Yeah.
You can't get enough of them.
Exactly.
And this is one way of sort of relieving that burden.
Absolutely.
And as long as the outcomes in the recent registry suggest that those outcomes are fairly comparable. Perfect. In terms of success rates.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Lasala, for your time. Really great overview of ICE, or intracardiac imaging echocardiogram in patient for structural heart intervention. Watch these videos and others on SIF 2024 YouTube channel. And this is SIF 20th anniversary. This is Chadi Alraies, and with me was Dr. John Lasala. Thank you so much.